Have you ever had the sense that none of this is real? That life is some weird trip? How lost can you feel? Do you remember the time you could sense the freedom of life in a space so immense? If you felt sad, you simply cried. Happiness or fear, nothing denied. But we have collected some silly ideas, entrenched in our thoughts about what it all means. This prison of me, how I am or should be. We forgot it's a play, a dramatic comedy, but it's just pretense. You're still that innocence. You don't fit in a box. What a paradox. We just pretend we have forgotten who we are. In my self-created world, I am the #1 superstar. My pretentious castle has been built on the clouds, but it doesn't bring me safety. It can bring only more doubts, but I don't know how else to survive in this strange place. 'Cause I don't know who I am, and I don't know any other way. It can seem depressing, this meaningless life. It takes your ambitions, your goals and your drive. But truth is the freedom to be everything. Thought is the servant, but you are the king. It is a great relief to get the joke of it. There's nothing to achieve, 'cause this is it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Lovely to see those of you who are joining me on Zoom, and also welcome to those who are watching the live stream on YouTube or even the recording of the live stream. Yeah, it's so wonderful to connect with you in this way. Of course, it would be even better if we were all in the same place, in the same room, but somehow online also is good. It is, yeah, it has its magic as well, because you're sitting in your own houses or rooms or spaces, wherever you are, and so am I. And somehow we can dip into each other's worlds like this. I always find it just kind of mind-blowing how this happens. So today's theme for the open meeting is freedom from the inner critic. Freedom from the inner critic. Critic. It's a bit of a tongue twister. So before we get into that, I'd like to just take a few moments to tune in with how we feel in this moment. So if you just get comfortable and you can close your eyes. And if it helps, you can also put your hand on your chest or your belly or not, whatever feels right for you. It can be helpful to put your hand on your body in some way as a gentle reminder to feel what is happening for this body, for this human, in this human experience. I also find it helpful to keep my feet flat on the ground with my shoes off, bare feet, just to feel the ground. And then to take some deep breaths into the belly. And with each breath, just letting go of whatever else was happening in your life before the start of this session. And if you feel like on the out breath, you can have a big sigh of letting go of whatever you feel you're carrying. You're muted at the moment, so you can even make some sound if you feel like. And with each breath, bringing all of your attention here now to whatever is happening in your direct experience. Noticing sensations, emotions, feelings. If there are any sounds from the background, the outside world, but also from this body, it makes all kinds of weird and wonderful sounds. And also noticing any thoughts, any commentary of the mind. Just noticing it all, just the way it is. Nothing needs to be changed or fixed. And as you start to settle more into this present experience, whatever it is. Can start to notice the more subtle sensations or feelings, waves of energy. As we shift our attention from the outside world to the inner world. And really, there is no separation between the outside and the inside. But we do tend to often put a lot of our attention on the outside world. So now, this is a gift to give to ourselves to simply meet whatever is happening in our direct experience. Then we can start to notice the thoughts, this inner critic, because that is our theme today. What does that mean for you, the inner critic? How do you experience those kinds of critical thoughts? Just take a moment to feel into or remember or even think about the thoughts that are the inner critic. And as you are feeling into those thoughts, that inner critic, also feel how it feels in the body when you tune into that inner critic or you remember that inner critic. Do you get a flavor in the body or feeling in the body? You just take a moment to feel that or remember that, acknowledge that. And then we just let that go and zoom out, noticing whatever is here, but then also
Can't hear him. Can you?
sorry, I just realized that I was muted. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. Sorry about that. Was I muted the whole time? Oh my God, I've just been speaking a lot. Okay. So I, oh well, I hope you had a nice meditation. I was guiding it all the way, but you didn't hear me. So our theme today is freedom from the inner critic. And this theme I find a little bit paradoxical or very paradoxical because, of course, the freedom that we really are is always free, no matter what. So we can just take a moment to acknowledge that the freedom that we really are, we really am, I really am, is always free. That isn't disturbed by this inner critic or by anything. And that is the beauty, that is the freedom of who we really are. If we were really disturbed by anything, by this inner critic, then our true nature wouldn't be free. It would be dependent on an experience of being absolutely undisturbed all the time. But true freedom is not dependent on any particular experience. So true freedom is not dependent on the inner critic not being there. True freedom is anyway, no matter what. So that's the absolute. That's the bottom line. That is the container. That is the unconditional love and acceptance of whatever is here, without exception. So that's where I'm coming from when I speak. And if we start to speak more about this inner critic, which we will in a minute, know that it is all held in that freedom that is untouched by anything. And that's important to acknowledge first, because we're often under a misconception that when I am free from the inner critic or from anything that is uncomfortable, then I'll be free. But true freedom is already. So it's not about being free from. That's why I said that this title is a little bit paradoxical, because there's no need to be free from anything, because you're already free with everything, no matter what. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's messy, even if there are loads of thoughts that drive you crazy, even if you experience separation and it's painful, even if there's a longing to be free, even if you are totally absorbed by this inner critic, totally identifying with a separate me, that even is all held in this freedom. That you know, actually, even if you're identified with this small me that feels separate, there's a bigger knowing. Not the knowing of the mind, but there is a bigger knowing that always knows this. It's not necessarily experienced as a feeling of freedom, but it's a knowing. It's a knowing that is known in a different way from the thinking, when the thinking knows something, or even an experience. It's different to an experience, although there may be an experience of recognizing it that can feel expansive, but that feeling or that experience will pass, or it'll come and go. That's not the point. The recognition or the knowing is unexplainable, it's unspeakable. It's a resonating, we can't even put it into words. But it is a knowing that knows. And then this inner critic, I call it inner critic now, but in fact, it is simply a thought. and another thought, and another thought. And maybe it is some recurring thoughts or a pattern, old conditioning, identities that are being believed in, these small me's. And there can be many of these identities that come in to fill the space when they seem to be needed in times of threat or perceived threat, of course, when it doesn't feel safe, when there is a gap of some sort, when there's some discomfort, when there's not knowing how to be, who to be, what's going on, which direction to go. These thoughts or these identities come in to fill the space, to attempt to create some kind of safety, to survive that situation. They have a good intention. So, for example, with the critic, perhaps we've learnt from our parents, from society, from the culture that we grew up in, our teachers, school, our peers, our friends that we grew up with, we picked up that there's something wrong with me, right? These kind of critical thoughts that make me wrong or not good enough, something missing, something wrong. And these thoughts keep us very small, identified with this small me. I'm not good enough. And we operate from there when we believe that. We doubt ourselves. Any opportunity for aliveness or shining ourselves in any kind of situation, we might immediately doubt ourselves or hold ourselves back. Oh, I can't do that. I couldn't possibly do that because I'd be showing myself too much and I'd be open for some kind of criticism from the outside world or attack, or it wouldn't feel safe to do that. For whatever reason, we explain it to ourselves. It's safer to stay small. And staying small feels painful. It feels flat, like we're stuck in a rigid container that we create for ourselves. Of course, no one puts us in that container. But when we believe in these thoughts that say, I'm not good enough for whatever reason, this is this container, this prison. And then we don't recognize the absolute freedom that we are. We stay believing I'm this small me and there's something wrong with me, so I can't move and express myself freely in the world, in life, because if I do, I'll be under threat in some way. I will be revealed as being not good enough or deeply flawed, fundamentally flawed or wrong or bad. And it can be very frightening to take the risk to expose that in the world. And so we'd rather stay safe, prefer not to risk that. I stay safe in this small me. And yet there is a push-pull with that, because although it feels safer to stay small, there's also a longing to express freely. That's why we're attracted to this title of freedom from the inner critic, because it feels like such a prison. And then we long to break free, right? We long to express ourselves freely, to sing our song, whatever that is. And we all individually, in this play of all these individuals, we all have our individual flower that we are. We all blossom uniquely, right? We all have our flavor that is so precious and uniquely this particular flavor, however you are, whether it's the way you look, whether it is what you do, what you feel, your skills, your talents, your qualities, your abilities, your energetic flavor, your feelings, even your thoughts, it's all part of this particular expression of life itself, expressing itself just like this. Life would be missing something if this human flavor was not here. Life is purposefully expressing itself just the way you are. So how dare you stay small? Right? How dare you limit life? Who do you think you are that you could limit life and say, yeah, but I'm just, I'm not good enough? How could you believe that when life is expressing itself just the way you are? And we feel that we long to just express in whatever way that is. And we might do it for a while. And then those thoughts come back in like, oh, no, 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 it's not safe again. But every time you notice that happening, of course, that's part of the expression. But when you notice that happening, feel how that feels in the body. Like, oh, again, I'm back in my prison. Feel the pain of that. Feel the longing to express and come back to that again. And it's natural that there'll be kind of closings and openings. This is also the nature of life. Sometimes we withdraw into our stories, into our whatever. We just close up a bit. We go in, we withdraw, we want to curl up in a ball and stay safe. And then other times we're like, okay, I'm ready to express and show myself and share and expose. And then again, it comes back to, okay, now it's time to withdraw. And so these waves of opening ourselves and then closing ourselves, they don't mean anything. Right? It's just part of the waves of life. And part of that withdrawing might be that inner critic saying, oh no, now it's time to withdraw, but it adds these extra thoughts. Oh, it must be that there's something wrong with me. But there's nothing wrong with you. It's just time to withdraw. And then when you're ready to go out again, to take the risk, to expose yourself again. And it takes courage to keep coming out and showing yourself. And who are you showing yourself to anyway, right? Who's out there? No one. It's only you. You show yourself to yourself, right? You dance your dance for yourself, to yourself. You're watching yourself express yourself freely. And those thoughts that want to keep yourself small and limited and contained in this small me, they are just thoughts referring to a me. But anytime you really question that me, you will find that there is no one here, that it's just an old program. So as soon as you realize that it's just an old program, feel in the body. How does that feel? And then take a deep breath and take the risk to step out of that in whatever way that is for you, right? Even if it's just in terms of not believing it. Doesn't always have to be that you do something in the world, but step out of the belief. And then in that moment, you're free. And then in the next moment, if the thought comes back again, okay, you have to step out again. And it might be that you have to keep stepping out of that for the rest of your life, because these programs have been programmed in for years. So it may well take the rest of your life to keep stepping out of them. But that's okay. Keep stepping out. This is what life is all about. Keep choosing freedom in every moment. Because freedom is who you are, right? So in this human expression, we love to live freely, even though we are already free, so we don't even need to live freely, right? Because if you're already free, you don't need to be free or become free. But at the same time, there is a love of dancing your dance, singing your song, doing whatever you do, expressing yourself, being yourself, feeling yourself freely. And so we have to keep choosing freedom, actually. We have to keep stepping into it, keep taking the risk to step out of beliefs that seem to limit us. Keep meeting what is actually here, other than what we think is here. Keep meeting the sensations, the feelings, what is really going on in the body. Keep listening to our direct experience. Keep feeling the pain of keeping ourselves small, of believing this inner critic. And as soon as we meet the sensations and the feelings of that pain, we're already not believing those thoughts. We're already free. So I think it's time for you to talk. It's enough of me. So if you have a question or would like to have a dialogue, you're welcome to raise your hand. And you can also type a question in the chat if you want to. Yeah, Sashko.
Hi, Unmani.
Hi.
Thanks for your words. It was a little bit like diving underwater, and you can dive in every direction. It was really nice to dive with you. I know that inner critic very well, the negative side. But at the moment, I have also the problem with the positive side. I am many times on a positive emotion wave, and I think then, or it feels like that's something like an opening. It's so nice. But friends who are also on an inner way, they say, hey, where are you? Hi, hey. And the word is to get more sober. Pooh. And I have a problem with that, as it feels like to be closer to God when I feel that positive emotion.
Yeah.
And but maybe it's a drug I take myself, producing these emotions.
I feel it's about just a step back to what led you to this spiritual path? You know, what were you longing for in the first place? Was it beautiful high experiences? Right? It can be, you know, many people go for that. Or was it the truth? You know, because it's a rhetorical question for now. It's a question for you to take with you, right? Or to take some time with. And it doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong. And it can change, right? Maybe it could be that you came into this hoping for some beautiful spiritual experiences, but in time you realize that actually there's a deeper longing. In any case, the spiritual experiences, like every experience, come and then go, you know, because that's their nature. And so even if you have some kind of beautiful spiritual experience that feels very, sorry, someone's making noise here. Oh, it's you, Sasha. Anyway.
Maybe, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so even if you have those beautiful experiences, they will pass. And so it will leave you just chasing more. It's like sugar, you know, you have some chocolate, you just want more. It's just how it works, right? Or, you know, watching on a screen, right? You start watching, oh, you just want to watch another thing, another episode or what. It's an addiction, just like anything else, like anything, any other sweet thing, you know, that feeds a kind of that dopamine hit, right? We get that. And I'm not saying that the spiritual experiences are wrong or bad or not beautiful. Right? When you have an expansive experience, of course, it feels very nourishing and open. But those experiences come and then they go. So enjoy them when they're here and then they pass. And when they pass, it's got nothing to do with anything, you know, it's just, okay, next.
I think I sometimes want to blow them up, but when I'm in that, it's the believing that I'm present and that I'm really here. But other people say then, that's not the truth. And that's my problem, that I don't feel then that maybe it's too much drunken.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to can say no, it's not real, or it's too much, or I blew it up, or
when they reflect that to you, do you have a sense that they're right, or that there's something in what they're saying?
Yeah, there's something true, definitely.
Yeah,
and it hurts, and it makes me what's the word? I'm then sad about that, as I was enjoying it so much. So
but that when you feel that there's that something that is true in what they say, that something, you know, that's where you can feel already that you are feeding something, you know. So it's not to say the experience isn't true. The experience is true, but then you're making it into something, and that's where you get drunk.
it's a me what is catching that experience. That's
what I mean.
That is the thing, that the experience would be, I can also say, as this side is also true. It is really it is a wave or something like that, where I can sit on, but then I think I want to hold that wave.
Yeah, and that holding,
that it's not throwing me down. So
Yes,
think
I mean it's about kind of building like a nest in whatever experience is here, right? So if you build your nest, you have a beautiful experience and you start building your nest. So you're like getting really comfortable in this experience. This is me, this is my home now. I'm settled in this experience. It's going to be like this forever. And then naturally it changes. And then when, and this building my nest in it, or getting, creating an identity out of what is here, that's the sticky part.
I think the main problem is what I have is I wait a second, I have to translate. It's merging.
What's that?
Merging, to merge.
Merge. Okay, yeah.
To merge with that feeling. To merge, and also it feels a little bit that the me is going away. But maybe it's a lie, and I don't look really behind that when I'm in that merging.
Look, if an experience comes, and then, if it wasn't there before, you know that it's not the real thing. It's as simple as that.
Can you say it again?
If an experience comes that wasn't there before, you know it's not the real thing. You know it's something to be suspicious of.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, but sometimes, that is needed, right? Because, you've been chasing these experiences or believing that they are something special for you. And so in order to be clear, that's why I said, what were you really here? What did you come into the spiritual search for, right? Because if you want to truly wake up to the truth, and instead of just chasing the next spiritual experience, then you have to be suspicious of spiritual experiences. And it doesn't mean that you don't enjoy them when they're here and have whatever insights come with them. But, just be suspicious because they will pass.
Yeah. I always say to the people, I'm do not in a way to wake up. So it's not really to find the truth. I think it's more to have that good feeling, as I had many tens of years the other side.
Yeah.
The bad feelings. So I now want to enjoy the good feelings.
Yeah, I understand. It's logical. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not how it works. It's not, experiences come and go. There's nothing to be done about it. You can't hold on to one experience.
Okay.
And whether you like it or not, the truth is the truth. Even if you want all the only beautiful experiences, the truth is the truth, that life isn't just beautiful experiences. It has a whole spectrum, right?
I
So
only have changed the side, something like that.
You can live in a dream, that's okay. If you're happy living in that dream and chasing spiritual highs, good luck. I suspect that it will be a lot of suffering in your life, but good luck to you, But if you are open to seeing the truth, or let's say, I would say that even if you want to continue chasing spiritual highs, life eventually will show you that you have no choice in the matter. You will be put on the path of awakening, whether you like it or not, because that's just how life is. Anyway.
I think I'm interested in the truth, but this voice I can hear now after you were saying all that, it's that it's a very it's not a loud voice that says I want to enjoy only. It's really behind. I didn't hear it
Yeah.
till the last weeks. It's new for me.
Sometimes these background voices, when they're not so conscious, they actually have more power when something is more conscious. Because it's sort of it's sneaky in the background, operating without you really acknowledging. And it's good to speak about it because you get more conscious of it. And as you get more conscious of it, then when those thoughts come in, you acknowledge them, they're welcome. It's just that they're not true. So it's not about getting rid of those kinds of thoughts or trying to not chase spiritual experiences. It's just noticing those thoughts and noticing that they're not true. And then you're left just with the physical sensations. Okay. Thank you, Sashka. Anita, you have to unmute yourself.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hi.
okay. So, well, this is not so easy for me right now because I'm in a real crisis. And I'm very much aware of the space that this crisis is passing through. But it's a health thing. And it's chronic, and it comes in waves where it crashes, and I'm in a crash, and it's really quite intense. So I'm isolated. And then I start to come down on myself really hard. This is the thing that my ego uses to get to forget who I am. And then I'm deeply suffering, to be honest. And so I'm starting to understand that I'm just perpetuating it by believing in by fighting it, actually.
Yeah.
By fighting it, and that I'm a fighter, I mean, in all kinds of ways, and so yeah, so the opposite to me of the inner critic, it's there, but it's like an acceptance, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's not even that you need to think about accepting those thoughts, because that would be just more thoughts, even though
Yeah,
they're
I mean, a
accepting
feeling
thoughts.
in the body. When
Yeah,
you started this, you asked us how we felt in the body when we have and it was immediate, a contraction, and then tears of what am I doing?
yeah,
What?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's painful, huh? So painful. Yeah. Yeah, and then just noticing that and feeling the pain, already you're free from it, with it. It's actually free with it, because in that moment you're embracing the pain of it with your attention, right? And so, and that's often what we're avoiding doing because it is uncomfortable to feel that pain. But that's where the truth is, and actually that's what we long for. We long to embrace the pain. We long to just stop and just be with what is. And that's the aliveness, and that's the unique flavor that we all are. It doesn't always have to be out in the world dancing, but it's just even in noticing the dance of our unique feelings in that moment. Yeah. So it's freedom with whatever is here.
yeah, and that's the thing for me. uh, is the symptoms that this illness gives me, and then the thoughts that come with it, and then the depression and all of that comes on top of me. I mean, it's extreme, and it's quite intense, because what I end up hearing is, I don't want to be here anymore. I really do not. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here. And I know that that is a really important kind of point, because what I'm really saying is, I don't want, that's not me. I don't want to be trapped in that.
Yeah, it's like you hit rock bottom.
I just want to leave the planet, the body.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you hit rock bottom, and then it's like
Yeah,
rock bottom is a doorway.
yeah,
It's a doorway to what is beyond all of that. Yeah, so it's a gift, even though of course it feels like hell. Um,
yeah,
but it's that conscious acknowledgement that you don't want that. You don't want to keep doing that and keeping yourself small and believing that you in this small me. You know already that you're not that. And it's just an old pattern, right?
yeah.
It's
It's
just
a pattern.
sticking with what you know, what you have been taught, probably from a young age, right?
Yeah, both my parents were always sick,
Mm.
so it was. And my thing was, that's not going to happen to me. So I created a thing of trying to be safe, which created a prison.
Mm.
And, it's not always like that. I mean, I've experienced a lot of openness and expansion, but right now it's like keeps coming back and having me. And it feels like some deep unconscious saboteur that won't allow me to be free.
Yeah.
And so,
But if you're waiting for that saboteur to go away, and then you'll be free, that's that fight, isn't it?
yeah,
That kind of pushing against it and waiting or hoping or, you know. But if you can meet that saboteur, you know, first of all, in the story, what does it want? What is it saying? What is it trying to do? And you can, I find writing very helpful in that way. You can actually write as that saboteur, telling the story of that saboteur. Like, what is it trying to do? What's its intention? And then usually it has an opposite, something that is hidden more, some more fearful side. And perhaps you want to do some writing from that one as well. And it's usually that there are two that work together somehow. Not always, but yeah. And so I find that just getting a bit of clarity in with about the story of it, that already brings a bit more space. Because as I said before, when you become more conscious of these things, they lose their power. So we have to get conscious in a few different ways. Like first of all with the story, but then also feeling the flavor in the body, the sensation of that. What does it feel like? And the feeling can be like just it can feel almost normal just to kind of go into that position in your body, energetically or physically, that you don't even question. It's like, yeah, of course. So, and as you start to feel that and become conscious of that, it's like, oh, why am I doing that? That's really painful to be like in that position, you know? And okay, it can unwind by itself more over time, but it might just go back into that same position again and again, and that story might come again. So it's not about making it wrong or feeling like I'm not free while it's here, but just every time it's there, it's like, okay, yeah, there it is again. Hello, and you know, a deep breath, and okay, I know it's not true, you know. So it's like a continual seeing again and again. Often we are waiting for the moment when it doesn't play out anymore, and that's not going to happen. You know, these things have to be embraced now, just the way they are, forever. You know? Okay. Thank you, Anita.
Yep.
Petra.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Unmani. Thank you. I'm in a difficult partnership right now, and my partner is in a big pain, and he's not talking to me anymore right now. And this goes on for days. And so we are not in contact. I cannot talk to him. We cannot clarify anything. And this brings up a lot of sadness and incredible loss. And this, I criticize myself for being wrong, doing mistakes. And it's quite intense. And you told of embracing the loss, and sometimes I don't know if the relationship is over or not. And for me, it's still so difficult just to be with this loss and doing nothing. This is just embracing.
Yeah.
This is what I realized when I heard you talking. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also, I want to say that, you know, part of losing or part of grieving, letting go, is the mind trying to process this or trying to understand this or trying to grasp, you know, in some way, you know, what if I do this or what if I do that? Especially in your situation where it's unclear whether the relationship is over or not. So this gives a lot of space for the mind to get involved there.
Yes.
Right? To find some clarity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would say that that's also natural. Like the mind is trying to process, like what's going on here? Where am I in this? You know, who am I? How is this? What does it mean? And it's uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah.
And it's something that, you know, we just have to ride the wave of that.
Yeah.
And as much as possible to take the attention out of the mind to the body. And maybe that means, you know, having big cries or shouting and screaming or punching pillows or whatever you need to do. But it's also natural, I feel like, for the mind to try to do this grasping or understanding. So there's nothing wrong. It's just part of the process of letting go.
And even inside, there is sometimes this hate and rage, and sometimes there's so much love.
Look, you know, you wouldn't hate and rage if there wasn't love. Right? They're two sides of the same coin. You know, yeah, and it wouldn't hurt if you didn't love. Yeah. Look, you're in a big process. Yeah, and there's bound to be all kind of waves, right? Whether, this is what grief is, whether it's about actually the loss of someone's life, or whether it's the end of a relationship or the end of anything, right? Or any big change in our lives. We have to process this grief. And grief is about letting go, big changes, transitions. And it's not just intellectual, it's also energetic. Especially in an intimate relationship, your two bodies have energetically been intertwined. Two apparent energies have been playing as one, right? And so it takes time also for that to kind of unravel in some way, for you to find your own unique expression in that separation. But it also sounds like maybe you need some clarity as to whether it's over or not. Is there, I don't know, I don't want to get into the details of it now, but perhaps there's something, that you need to take in your own hands to find out if there is some clarity, if there's a way to some clarity, so that you can start to process either, moving on with this relationship, or start to really grieve the end of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we've actually run out of time. So first of all, I want to thank you, all those here on Zoom and watching the live stream. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure. And also to let you know, the next open meeting live streamed is on the theme letting go of control, a new kind of trust. And that will be on the 13th of July. So we have a bit of a break. And in the meantime, there's two things I wanted to tell you about. One is I'm holding a retreat in the Netherlands on the 28th of July for 5 days until the 1st of August. And there are still places if you'd like to join me. You can also join online, but of course, it's always better if you're in person. But the online option is also there if you can't make it. And also, if you'd like to work with me on a more regular basis, we have the Love of Truth community, which you can read all the details about on my website. But it is basically a community of people who all are in love with the truth and resonate with this expression, Unmani, and would like to work with me more regularly. So if you resonate with that, go and have a look on the website and see what it all entails. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. See you next time. Lots of love.